here with Jack Bosch. Jack is a German immigrant that turned a modest start into a multi-million dollar land business with his wife, Michelle. They flipped over 5,000 properties and also created the Forever Cash model, helping over 1,000 individuals achieve millionaire status through their educational programs. As a number one best-selling author and host of the Jack Bosch Show podcast, Jack shares his real estate expertise with a broad audience of over 300,000 followers. Without further ado, welcome to the show, Jack.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, well, I'm glad you decided to join us today. Just looking back over your bio there, that's pretty impressive. So you guys have done over 5,000 properties. I thought I was doing pretty good until I read that, but you guys are absolutely amazing. So I'd love to go a little bit deeper into the show to see exactly how you guys were able to complete that many transactions. But before we do, if you could just share a little bit more about your background and also how you got started in real estate, that'd be great.
Okay, wonderful. So first of all, I'm excited to be here. And so I'm originally from Germany. I came here to the country exactly 27 years ago. As a matter of fact, I just last week celebrated my 27-year anniversary here in the U.S. And why is that important? Is because I'm 54 now, so I basically spent half of my life now in the United States. And I came here to finish a college degree, finish a master's degree. Was planning to go back to Germany. 10 months later, had everything set, had my apartment subleased, had my job lined up, had everything lined up. But then 3 weeks into it, this young lady walks by, and I was like, "Ooh, hello, who are you?" And to make a long story short, this young lady is now my wife, and we've been married 23 years, and she's also an immigrant from Honduras, Central America. So we both came here. We fell in love with the country, fell in love with each other. And then we said, you know what, let's give this a try to stay here to see if we can make this relationship work. And again, to make a long story short, it worked. We're now American citizens. We're here 27 years. So we did it. We graduated and we got jobs. So we got jobs in corporate America. I got a job in a software company. I had a little bit of experience like that from Germany as a college worker, but I'm not a software guy. I've never been in love with that industry. It's too complicated, too fast changing. And I just like more simple things in life. And so anyway, this job promised to give me the green card. It did. Ultimately, were 5.5 years, but it also came with 5 days a week travel. So I literally left home on Monday morning, flew somewhere, stayed in some cheap hotel, lived in, since it was software world, was in some server room where there's ice cold, worked until 10 o'clock at night, every day from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, in 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And it was brutally hard. It was a lot of work. And so because of that, and I was separated from my wife. So we decided somewhere through there that we wanted to actually break out of the rat race. We didn't enjoy it. We had bought a house also. We bought cars, we bought furniture, and we're up onto our noses in debt. And we're just like started questioning that American dream that we've been taught. Which is like, it's just like, yeah, everyone celebrates you if you buy the nice car and you buy the nice thing, and everyone's like, oh, you're doing really well. But behind the scenes, you're drowning in debt and drowning in misery and just basically work to pay off that kind of stuff. And we didn't want to do that. And we had 2 weeks vacation. We couldn't maintain our relationship with our friends, with our family in Germany. My parents are over there. My brother's over there. My wife's family's in Honduras. And so we were just like, fed up with it. We love the country, love that we were able to stay here, but we needed to find something else. And then through a long process of trial and error, we stumbled into real estate. And in real estate, we found a niche, which is that we buy and sell land. So we wholesale land, we buy land cheap and sell it with seller financing, create cash flow with land, we split land. And lately, we're also starting to get more into development land and entitlements and things like that.
Well, first off, congrats on all the success. So you guys came over as immigrants. You were able to find your way. You got connected with a really good job, and they gave you citizenship over here. But you had to put some time in order to achieve that goal. But hey, I love the work ethic, though. I mean, it's a lot of people, they want things overnight. They want things really easy, but you put 5 years into a job that you really didn't care for much, and then you finally did something about it. Um, so if you could just share with us a little bit about that. So you were working for 5 years. I know before we went live, you shared with me that you were able to have some success buying real estate during that period of time. How were you able to do that? I know you and your wife were kind of working together on things. Shine some light on exactly what it looked like when you guys were working and buying real estate at the same time.
Yeah, that's an important thing you just mentioned. That it's always been Michelle and I, my wife and I together. She also had a job that sponsors her visa, and she was working hard, and she was working nights and weekends. She was working in accounting finance with the CFO of her company, and they had to do month-end finances and month-end accounting closure and all this kind of stuff. So we both were pretty busy in our jobs, and she loved hers. I didn't love my job, and but we, yes, in that process, and that's the important thing is, like, yeah, we always look, one of the most important, I think, reasons for success or path to success, try to align with your spouse on what you want out of life. And we were very clear that what we want out of life is, number one, to be together, not to be separate from Monday to Friday. Number two, we wanted to have time to travel around the world and not just work until we're 65 and then go retire and hope that by then we have enough money saved up. Number three, we wanted to make sure we have more money than just like the money we had to pay off, like the car or to make the monthly payments from the car, let alone pay it off, make the monthly payments and so on. So that drove us to look beyond the normal job environment. Like I was like line, hook, and sinker. I had subscribed to the philosophy of like, go get a good education, get a good job, make a career, work until you retire. That was my plan, right? That's 100%. And after 3 years in this plan, I was disillusioned completely. And I was like, this is not how I am. I have the choice here. I can either give up my dreams or I can just figure something out and basically give up some evenings with friends, which in that case was almost a blessing that I was traveling because I had nothing to do at night. I was sitting in some stupid hotel room, wasn't like the Four Seasons. It was like the Holiday Inn Express. And I was sitting in there, and watching TV. And I was like, I might as well do some research about what else can I do to make some money. And that ultimately, when that green card arrived, so citizenship takes a little longer. So it took me 5.5 years to get the green card. So my plan was, and it successfully worked like that, is to figure out a plan B that we could implement while we are in the job, because we couldn't afford to quit. Because if you have a work visa, it's literally in your passport. It says that your ability to stay in the United States is tied to this company. So if you lose that job, that visa goes away and you have 60 days to find another job or to leave, or you have to leave the country. So in other words, we were tied to that job. We had to do whatever it takes to keep that job. But at the same time, we were looking around for something. And after looking around all kinds of different things, and remember, I was traveling 100%, we stumbled into real estate, and we tried some stuff in real estate, wholesale houses and things like that. And we just couldn't find any deals. We didn't know how to estimate repairs. But then eventually we stumbled over a piece of land, and we were able to get that piece of land for $400. And then we turned around and the neighbor bought it the next day for $4,000. Now the piece of land was worth like 10 grand. So the owner owned it, had gotten it through a divorce, didn't want it anymore because it reminded him of his ex-wife. He wanted to get everything had that garage sale mentality, like clean out the house. Let me move to Colorado. His property was in Arizona where we live. And he just didn't want that property. It was a rural lot in a little subdivision, but still in a rural kind of small town. And we gave it to us for $400. We literally put up a sign, and the neighbor came across the street and said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" We're like, "We're selling the property." And right there on the spot, he offered us $4 grand. I didn't even negotiate. And we sold him the deal. And all of a sudden I had 10x my money, and I had made more in that day than I usually make in a month. Well, that worked. Let us try that again. So 2 weeks later, I got another deal on a contract, and we made $9,500 on that deal. Like $13,000 in a matter of like combined 6 weeks. And so we was like, okay, Forget about houses. Both of them were lots. We know nothing about houses. We don't know how to estimate their value. We don't have the money to put a down payment down and fix and flip and repair. We don't have the expertise. And we don't know. Even if I wanted to do a fix and flip, I could have not done it because I wasn't there to supervise any contractors. So, et cetera, et cetera. Just this entire thing all came together to the point that we basically said, you know what? Let's focus on land, because land, we don't have to go see the properties. We don't have to go repair anything. We don't have to do anything with the property. We simply, all we need to figure out is what is it worth. And we can talk about that later if you want. But the point is, once we figure out what it's worth, we can find the people that don't want this anymore. We get those deals under contract cheap, and we turn around and make and mark them up, and we can sell them while I'm traveling, because nobody has to meet anyone at the property. Nobody has to show them around. You don't need the key to open the door to a piece of land. So it all worked 100% location independent. And so while I was traveling every day, every week, we were closing deals. That first year, we did 63 deals. And then all of a sudden, doing that process while having full-time jobs, and then all of a sudden, the green card arrived, and I was able to quit my job. And 8 months later, we were, and because now we basically, what we did is, when we quit the job, we put that same energy that we had put into the job now into our business. And we didn't work less. We actually just continued working just as much. But because we had already smelled the flowers, we already had guys that caught fire, we knew that we can make an average of $15,000, $20,000 a deal. Why do only 10 deals a year? Why there were also some smaller deals at the beginning. There's some deals we made $3,000 and $4,000 and so on. But why not do 100 deals, 200 deals like a year? And so we put that. We're young at that time. This was the year 2003. So I was 33 years old. We're like, I'm just getting started, and we just put the pedal to the metal. And within a total of 18 months since our very first deal, we were millionaires. Within 2 further years, we had taken this business to 8 figures. And that's shortly after we started investing then in taking the money that we made and invested in multifamily and single family and rental houses and investments and things like that, and built a little empire with it. But it all started from the frustration of being in a job.
Yeah. That's impressive to hear that amount of success being achieved while working a full-time job. That's not something that you hear every day. And congrats on all the success. It sounds like you guys are still doing an amazing job. And now you're getting results for your students within your program. If I could backtrack just briefly here, when you were working this full-time job, were you making calls? How were you getting these leads while working? What was working in order for you to accomplish this?
So the number one way we get leads till this day, including today, is direct mail, because direct mail in land actually has way less competition than in direct mail in the housing area. So the house flippers, there's like an estimated 3 million people in the United States that have been trained to wholesale houses or fix and flip houses. And not all of them do it, of course, but there's 3 million people that have been trained for that. I would think that right now there's about 3,000, and that's today, right? Today there's about 3,000 full-time or part-time land flippers out there. So with that said, there's 100 million houses and there's almost 50 million pieces of land. So 3,000 people have 50 million pieces of land in front of them, and 3 million people only have 100 million houses. So the competition is way, way lower. It's 33 houses per investor, and it's something like 15,000 pieces of land per land investor. So it's off the chain, like how much lower competition. And what that means is that people don't get many letters from people, right? They don't get bombarded with postcards and letters and text message. I mean, I have like 25 rental houses right now, a bunch of multifamily. I've gotten 3 text messages today already from people. Hey, we want to buy your house. And I don't want to sell my houses. But anyway, so the land space, that doesn't happen. Like, you don't get bombarded like that. So, and to this day, you can cold call, you can text people, you can email people, you can also, there's 6 different ways that you can get leads. But even back then, we used direct mail. So when we used direct mail, what happened is people called us back. Well, what we did is we set up an answering machine where people could leave an answer. It would leave a message about, hey, I got your letter, and the instructions were very simple. So like, hey, please leave a detailed message, including the parcel number that we send you a letter about. So people and the county that it's in. So people would say like, yes, thank you very much. You called me. Yeah, I'm interested in my properties in XYZ County, and this is the parcel number. Call me back. And then with that information, I could do all the research already and not even call him back, but send him straight an offer. And again, the offer process in the land space is such that you're not dealing with 25 people that want to have an appointment with you to sit in your kitchen and sell you and convince you to sell that property to them. We simply put the offer on an actual offer agreement and send it also by mail. So the entire strategy, therefore, can be done with a very minimal interaction with the seller. If I did need to call back a seller, I did a lunch break. My colleagues said like, hey, Jack, you want to go for lunch? We're going to whatever, In-N-Out Burger. And I was like, no, sorry, guys, I'm going to stay here. And I might have brought myself something from breakfast, a sandwich or something. I'll stay here and I go into a conference room and I just go call people for an hour. And I step back out. Sorry, I had to do a few calls and so on. It's all good. And I would not tell anyone what I was doing. And then, or in the evening, then I would go. They would like, hey, you want to go for dinner? It's like, no, you know what? I do a rain check today. I'm tired and so on. And I would go into my hotel room and I would call people at night. And then on the weekends, on Saturdays, I would call people Saturday morning. Because again, the urgency is not so there. Many of these people have owned these properties for 30 years. Whether you call them today, tomorrow, on Saturday, doesn't really matter. They're not going to go sell this property tomorrow to somebody else because there's very little competition here. So with that, it was very doable. Today, though, what we do is we simply hired a call center for it. Today, though, I'm doing it differently. So today we use a call center. So there's call centers out there that charge by the minute, and it's not very expensive. It might cost you $300 a month. And for $300 a month, you can get something like 100 people call the call center and give their information. So you get 100 leads, which on average turns into probably about 4 deals for you. And each deal is worth $15,000. That's a $60,000 month right there for $300 worth of call center expenses. So today back then I didn't know call centers like that existed, but today that's what we use. So we send out direct mail or cold call, have people cold call. And, but if it's direct mail, they call the call center. The call center picks up with your company name, takes the information, puts it into a system or sends you an email with it. And then when you wake up in the morning or you're done with work, you just look at, oh, there's another 12 people that called in today. Let me process their information. The nice part about that is that the seller feels they already talked to somebody, so you don't have to call that seller back. Because they already talked to somebody, they already get information, they already have the expectation, you know everything you need to know, now they're waiting for your offer. So you now can don't call almost any of the sellers back, you simply do your analysis, what the property's worth, put your offer together, send the offer out in the mail, and then you get offers accepted. Now, there's some follow-up processes that we do now, in order to we have perfected that a little bit more. So you now get a follow-up process, so you get more offers accepted over time and so on. But essentially, all of that can be systematized, automated, and run part-time next to your job. As a matter of fact, the people I teach now, I would think that about 90% of our students have jobs. And then 80%, and 20% either retired, or they're basically saying like, I see this, I love this, I believe this, this is what I got to do. And they're going full out. They quit their jobs and jump with both feet in. It's not necessarily what I recommend because we didn't do it like that. But some people is like, they're so convinced, they're so ready to do this that they just basically burn the bridges and go jump fully in. And usually, I mean, those are usually mega successful because if you have that urgency behind you, you're going to do what it takes to succeed.
Yeah. Jack, thanks for sharing that. That's amazing to hear about the opportunity that's available within land. That brings to mind for me is the market becoming more saturated? I know you started back in the early 2000s. What is the market looking like as of today? Is it too late on the land flipping business, or what are you foreseeing?
No, it's definitely not too late. It's still a ground floor opportunity. Of course, is there a little bit competition now compared to no competition back then? Yes, of course. I mean, we've been teaching this for 16 years now. We've helped 1,000 people become millionaires. There's a few other people who teach this, and then we're the OGs in a way. We're the original ones. We're the first one who started and have put together like the most comprehensive programs for that. And of course, because of that, there's more people doing this. And there's a few pockets of the country now where there's some actual competition. Like there's some areas on the west coast of Florida where there is a lot of people doing this, and where people do report that they're getting something like 5-6 letters a month or so, or sometimes 10 letters a month from people, or they get some phone calls. But there's I would say in the United States, there's 3,007 counties or county equivalents. And out of these 3,007 counties, there's probably 20 counties where this is the case. It's like there's a couple of areas directly outside of Dallas, Texas that are like that. There's Maricopa County, Phoenix, where I live, is a little bit like that, because everyone in their brother thinks because Jack lives in Phoenix, Phoenix must be the best area to do this. So our own students compete with us here. And I don't mind it, because there's still plenty of deals for everyone to be had. But if you take those pockets out, there's still 2,987 counties available that you can do this in. And in some of these counties, you're still the only person. In many of these counties, you're still the only person doing these kind of deals. And so has there been, there's also, but is there a little bit more competition than there was? Yes, of course. You're also starting to see, particularly in bigger cities, because we focus on 3 kinds of land. The first land is infill lots, basically. Think about a street in the city, 35 houses, 1 empty lot. That lot is ready to be built. On that lot, though, you are competing with a few people. So that has changed a little bit, because it's so easy today to figure out where's this property, where's the empty lots, who owns it, because these aerial pictures, just freaking Google Maps. Just need to put Google Maps up, to put it on satellite picture, and just zoom into a city, and then just go around and you see land, lot. And all you need to do now is pull those lots up on the county website, and you know who they are and what they are, but everyone else does the same. And everyone else knows that too. So you're dealing with actually fix and flippers. They're so sick and tired of not getting enough houses that have crews on the sideline that are not utilized enough. So what they're doing now is they're buying these infill lots and building ground up. So fix and flippers are starting to become builders. And I see that. I belong to a mastermind with actually it's the top mastermind for real estate investors in the country. Most people that do that in order to be in that group, you have to do at least 100 deals a year. And what I see from the fix and flippers is a lot of them are now also adding somebody to their team that buys land. But they don't buy land outside of town. They only buy land in the cities. So in the city, there's more competition for the land, absolutely. The second kind of property, though, is what we call the path of growth, which is the properties outside of the town. So you go all the way out to the last development, and then from there, in like about half an hour driving distance, that's where you want to be, and that's where there's a lot of demand for land. There's people who buy close to that for development. There's people who buy close to that to just sit on it and let the prices appreciate. Because as the city develops further and further, prices go up. And there's also people that buy in order to buy, like they want to live close to the city, but not in the city. And in today's virtual working world, they can. And then there's retirees that want to move far outside because it's cheaper. So there's lots of buyers for these lots. And then the last group of lots is the larger acreage. I call them mini ranches, an hour, 2 hours away from town. And a lot of people since COVID, they want space. They want to travel. They want to be locked in. They don't want to be locked into their house anymore. So they bought RVs and dirt bikes and ATVs. And they don't want to be in an RV park. They want to be on their own 20 acres. So they usually have money. So those 2 sets of lots, there usually is not a whole lot of competition for those. Because the builders don't buy there, the fix and flippers don't buy there, the investment buyers only very, very minimally buy there. So we're really dealing with the owners just have these properties and they had them for years and decades and they just don't want them anymore. And they give them to you in many cases for like somewhere like 20 to 50 cents on the dollar.
Wow. Yeah, that's really useful information because you would think that a lot of these guys that have this land, they would be really proud of it and they would try to sell it for the most they could get out of it. But to hear that is just the opposite of that, that's remarkable.
Yeah, well, some do, of course. I mean, some absolutely want the market. Those are not the ones we deal with, but others are just they like if you own a piece of land for 30 years and every year you get you get a bill from the county for property taxes for like $2,000. Over 30 years, you just spent $60,000 over the 30 years on this property, and you haven't used it in some cases a single time. At some point of time, you got to be like, kids, do you want that lot? And the kid's like, no, we don't want it. And there's like, grandkids, do you want that lot? It's like, no, leave me alone. I don't want that. Well, if nobody wants it, I can list it with a realtor, but the realtor's telling me that the realtors, no realtor wants to list it because most realtors don't know how to list land properly. They're not trained on land. So then they're like, well, I got this letter here from this guy, and he's offering me 20 grand for the property. I mean, that's better than paying 2 grand every year. Let me just accept it. And so they accept the offer and you turn around and you sell it for 45 2 days later with a proper listing because we teach our students how to actually get those listings to look like so they stand head and shoulder above everything else, how to find that one realtor that actually knows how to sell the property in that in the area. That's like the best land realtor there, how to sell it to neighbors, how to build a buyer's list. We teach all the strategies that you can sell these properties in many cases, literally within a matter of days. Sometimes it takes a few weeks, of course, too.
Okay. Yeah. So speaking of proper listings, if we could go a little bit further into the show, can you share with us a recent transaction, whether it was either you or one of your students have actually completed? And if you could just give us high level details, how you were able to locate it and the step by step process it took to get it to the finish line.
Yeah. I can tell you a deal that we have done not too long ago, which was a beautiful cash flow deal where we made land cash flow. And that's a property. It was an infill lot. And this infill lot had a kind of like a four apartment units or fourplex on it. However, the fourplex burned down. So the owner, we got that by using direct mail. We basically said, let's do a campaign for infill lots, and we sent out letters to the people in that area. And this guy called and said, like, yeah, this property burned down a couple of years ago, and I don't really need the land anymore. I got cashed out the insurance. I got all the money I need, so I'm whole. I was able to pay off the mortgage, put the money in my pocket. I just don't want to deal with contractors and rebuilding that thing and having to supervise it and getting a construction loan and things like that. I'm good. And I also don't want to deal with having to kind of like constantly get like when it rains, get the weed guys, get the landscapers out there and cut the weeds because I'm getting a violation from the city. And sometimes people throw an old mattress on it or an old refrigerator on it, and then I get a violation again. And I just don't want to deal with that stuff. So you can have it. And it's like, okay. So we offered this person about $4,000 for the property, and he agreed. And because again, he had made his money already. And add to that about $1,000 in closing costs. So everything completely included, we paid $5,000 for that property. Then we turned around and we put it on the market. We put it on the MLS and we put it also in certain websites like even Facebook and other places. And within a matter of 2 weeks, we had an offer for $64,000 on that deal. And the buyer wanted to see if we would carry financing. So the buyer basically said, like, I don't have $64,000, but would you allow me to give you a 10% down payment, so $6,400 as a down payment, and then pay the remaining, what is that, $58,600, pay the remaining, or $57,600, pay the remaining $57,600 over the period of time. And if you could, I would like the monthly payments not to be more than $500. So we pulled up some, I mean, at that point we had financial calculators and everything, but when that first happened, like years and years, we just pulled up online some financial calculator and we put the things in there. And now we have full-blown systems and so on. So since it's a recent deal, we pulled up our systems and we basically calculated out there. So if you think about it, so we agreed on a monthly payment of, I think, of $486 a month. on an interest rate of 15%, which sounds high, but if you think about it, in today's world, interest rates for houses are at 6.5%. If you go to a bank and you want a loan on land, the bank is maximum going to give you half of it. So you have to bring 50% as a down payment. And then they're going to charge you even there 10% on the loan. But in finance, it's very common that the lower the down payment, the higher the interest rate. Because like if you put less down, there's a higher risk for the lender. So in this case, this person only put down 10% and we financed 90%. So it's very reasonable to ask for 15% interest rate. It's very normal. And so we agreed on that. And if you take it all together, this person is going to, we stretched out the loan for 20 years. So this person is now going to pay this $57,600 off in monthly payments of $486 for the next 20 years, and is going to pay us $112,000 on the deal. And if we really take this all in consideration, if you look at a few things, we paid $5,000 for it, but 2 weeks later, we got $6,400 back. So we had no money in the deal. Our money was, we put $5,000 in. 2 weeks later, we got $6,400 back. So we had our money already back, had an extra $1,400 in our pocket. And now we're receiving almost $500 for the next 20 years on that property. That's $6,000 a year, almost $6,000 a year, and almost $120,000. I think it's somewhere around $112,000 or so over the 20 years. And all those $112,000 is 100% profit.
Wow. Yeah, that's an amazing deal to be able to get all your cash back out and create $120,000 of income over a 20-year period, basically off of $5,000. So yeah, that's I could easily see how you're making millionaires doing that. So how often are guys able to come across these opportunities like this? So let's say the average Joe, they decide that they wanted to pull the trigger and get into that that business on a year-to-year basis. How many deals could a person that is putting in maybe 10 hours of work per week, what do you think is a reasonable expectation?
Reasonable expectation at 10 hours a week would be, I would think, somewhere between probably 10 to 20 deals a year is definitely possible. A deal a month is a given at that amount. And then it really depends on how much you automate of the business. Like I always like to talk about, there's a spectrum. You in this business, you can do everything yourself. You can print the letters on your printer at home. You can fold them, stuff them, seal them, and stamp them. You can send them to the mailbox yourself. At the very beginning, we did that. We even kissed the letters before we put them in the mailbox, and so like wishing the best, because like here's our escape. Like escape from the job is here. There's a deal in here. So, oh my God, praying like and then soon enough, we obviously now we use mailing houses for that and call centers and all those things. But at the beginning, we did everything ourselves. And then you take the phone calls yourselves or use the answering machine. And then you make the offers yourself and send them out. And then you create the listings yourself. And you can do everything yourself. And obviously, some of these things are tedious work. They just take a little bit of time to do. So if you do it all yourself at 10 hours a week, you're probably going to be like at perhaps 10 deals a year. At the same time, if you have a little bit more budget to invest and you have the call center work for you and you use the mailing house, it's actually mailing house is cheaper to mail through them. If you perhaps use a software, we now have a software that our students can use that has value analysis in it, and it has offer templates in it, and it has an offer calculator in it, and you train and utilize these tools really well. You can automate and outsource 80% of what you do. And in that case, on 10 hours a week, you can set up your system such that you can do 20, 30, 40 deals. And then the more you automate it, the more deals you can do. Like, for example, one of our head coaches, Aaron, is a guy. He comes out of the foster care system. So he was a foster child for many, many years. Then he went to the military. He came back. He was able to do college. Military paid for his college, but not for his living expenses. So he had to work all through college and had to hustle. And he became a car salesman. And then he started an eBay business and an Amazon business and struggled in all of them. And then he came across our business. And since 2017, he now does that full time. And he does somewhere around 50 deals a year with an average profit of $30,000 to $50,000 a deal. And he does that on 5 hours a week. Now, that's an exception. That is not normal, right? This is not what everyone does. But those people that work with us now that want to learn how to do that, Aaron teaches them how to do it, because it's all about automating, perhaps using a realtor on the sales side. So you don't have to talk to buyers. You find that, what we call the Michael Jordan of realtors. You find that person in that market that is actually really good at selling properties, and you give them your listings and they sell them for you. Now you have taken all the sales effort and gotten rid of it because they do everything. And there's so many different tweaks and things that you can do to make this business work anywhere. And more importantly, you can make it work around your life, because I said, you don't have to talk to sellers because the call center talks to them or the answering machine talks to them. You make them offers in writing. You create those listings whenever you have time. So that really means that you don't have to do this while you work. You can do this in your lunch break. You can do this in the morning. You can do this in the evening. You can do this while the kids are asleep. If you're a stay-at-home person, stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, while the kids take a nap. You can do this when the kids are asleep. You can do this on the weekends. You can do this while they're having soccer practice. You can bring your laptop and connect it to your iPhone and do some smartphone and do some work there. So we have people doing this from all walks of life and in all kinds of things, but 6 to 10 hours, 10 to 20 deals is definitely possible. Sorry, long answer for a short question.
Yeah, Jack, this is a great strategy. I've heard of it quite some time ago, and it's always intrigued me, but I just don't want to be one of those guys that's chasing the shiny objects constantly and not making any headway. But no, it sounds like it does offer a lot of opportunity, and we definitely appreciate you opening up about it and shining some light on it.
It is work. It is work. There's obviously work involved. Let me be clear. It's simpler than house flipping because there's no tenants, toilets, and termites. But is there work? Yeah. If anyone wants to wake up wealthy tomorrow, that's not the way. Nothing is the way. The lottery is the only way, and that's the odds on that.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Hey, we've got a portion of the show we like to call our Moonlight Coaching Round, and typically what we do is ask our guests a few questions. We do ask that you hold your response to between 1 to 2 minutes, if you would.
I'll do my very best.
Okay, yeah. First question that I have for you is, what do you think every new real estate investor should know before investing in real estate?
Oh, that's a hard one. Every new real estate investor, that it's going to take time to learn it all. Like, you can't expect to go to a real estate class and know it all. It's going to take you a couple of years until you really feel comfortable knowing the different aspects and being a real expert in it. So set your time horizon further out there. Don't think of real estate as get rich quick. Think of it as a career path where all the rich people in the world either made their money in real estate or store their money in real estate. So the point is, real estate equals wealth. And if you want to get wealth in life, then real estate is the right path. But that it's going to take some time until you know it, until you become a real expert. And there's really, I'm in this business for 22 years now. I don't know it all. It's impossible to know it all, right? So I became an expert after a few years. In land space, there's so many different niches that you can get into that I haven't even looked into yet. There's so much to learn. It's a never-ending kind of thing, and know that it takes a while before you really know it all, but also know that it's worth it.
Absolutely. Next question. Knowing what you know now, what kind of advice would you give a person attempting to get where you are within your real estate journey about balancing business and life?
I don't believe in business and life balance. I believe in seasons of life. So in other words, with that said, we have plenty of students plenty of people in our universe that beautifully balance business and life by having automated their systems, and they basically work. I talked to one of our students on Monday last week. He's 7 months in our program. He has made $289,000 working 3 hours a day. Right. So that's that exists and that is normal. But what I believe is in seasons in life, there's seasons where you put the gas to the floor, you put the pedal to the metal. When you discover something, you go for it and you go as big and as fast as you can. And then but be aware where your goal is, because it's so easy in life to just go for more and more and more and more and more. And soon enough, 30 years are gone. You're divorced and you don't have a relationship with your kids, and you have lost sight of what you actually wanted to do in the first place. Right? So set yourself a goal, whatever that is, $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, and then have a plan of how you're going to use that money in order to do what you really want to do in life, and then put the freaking pedal to the metal, get there, accomplish it, then take off, and then you enter a different season in life. So we're in a different season in life now. We're coaching, we're teaching, we're still doing deals, but we just took 3 months and spent it in Europe. Like we took literally off in this 3 months. I was in 4 business meetings, conference calls. I wasn't even connected to our office for 40 days straight. I did what's called the Camino Santiago. I walked as a spiritual pilgrimage through Spain for 500 miles and for 35 days, and completely disconnected. And I could do it because I took care of my finances before.
Yeah. And Jack, you also are able to say that you actually have a business because you had a business to come back to. A lot of people can't unplug that long because they haven't put the systems in place. They haven't put the work in to be able to have the business operate without them. So great job on that. The next question I have for you is, if a person had minimal amounts of time, no money or experience, but they wanted to start a business like yours, what could they do to start, scale a land flipping business?
If you're that, pull up Zillow, and that's going to be a contrarian kind of strategy. But I just told you earlier, don't go into the super hot areas where there's a lot of competition. With this strategy, you do the exact opposite. Go pull up Zillow, go into some of the hottest areas in the country, and then pull up the properties that are the pieces of land that are for listed and sort them by newest to oldest. So if you can, by oldest to newest. But if you sort it by whichever way, go to the oldest listings, and then make a lowball offer on every listing that's more than 9 months old. Like, offer half of market value. You might have to make 100, 200 offers to get one accepted, but when you get it accepted, you immediately turn around and you go and relist it with a much better listing, with a listing where you actually tell about the story and dream build and have some better pictures and so on. And if you watch my YouTube channel and things like that, Jack Bosch, there's videos about that and so on. But basically, you have no marketing costs, you have no mailing costs, you don't need to send out offers in the mail. You simply pull up Zillow, look at these super old listings that are usually old and not sold because they're just crappy listings, not because the properties are bad. They're sitting on the market because the realtor did an absolute horrible job marketing those properties. And all you need to do is put them on a contract at half price and do a better job marketing them. And you make your first check. It's not a scalable strategy, but it's a strategy that can get you your first couple of checks, make your first couple of $20,000, and then you use that to then implement the proper scalable process that we talked about earlier.
Okay. The final question that I have for you, Jack, is what is the greatest coaching advice you could give to a new person about knowing their numbers? So when I say knowing their numbers, this could be KPIs, taxes, how much income you have coming in, or how much expenses you have going out.
Yeah, know your numbers from both sides, I think, is the thing. So really take some classes on corporate finance, take some classes on how to read a P&L, take some classes on how to read a balance sheet. And all of that stuff nowadays is available for free on Google. And then I think iTunes used to have iTunes U. I don't know if that's still available or not. But go look at these classes. Even Harvard and those universities offer free classes in those kind of things. The knowledge of the world is available to you. So learn those things. And what do you particularly want to know is you want to know how to measure profit margins. You want to know how to measure, like in our business, measure response rates, acceptance rates. We measure how much it costs to market the property, so total cost per deal. And then, of course, we measure the total profit per deal, because that helps you decide where you want to go deeper in, where you want to go out. But in life, you also want to know what your expenses are. I do that every once a quarter. I go through all line item by line item to every single one of our expenses, because life has a tendency for expenses to creep up all around you. Right? So go through it, and you got to chop that stuff out like weeds. Like, I realized that I've subscribed to like five different streaming services, three of which I never go into. That sound like much, but you know what? 3 times $20 a month is $60 a month. That's $720 a month. You find 5 such things every quarter. You just eliminated a few $1,000s out of your life expenses that did and not add any value for you, and you simply bring dough. You can use that budget now to actually bring your business forward. So be aware of your expenses. Like, really keep track of that. Be aware of what you spend, even the garbage stuff you spend on. Make a summary every month. Look the reality in the eyes, but also on the business side of things, keep track of like where you get the biggest bang for the buck, because that's where you want to go more in.
Yeah, that's very true. And there's so many free resources that's out there that are available. And there's cheap resources that you can go online, learn how to read a profit and loss statement, and even following thought leaders such as yourself, going to their YouTube channels, seeing exactly what it is that they do and learning. And so you want to get educated, because the more you know, the better prepared you will be and the better investor you'll be in the long haul. So, hey, Jack, great answers to each one of those questions. We're going to start wrapping things up. But before we do, if you could share a great business or personal development book with the Moonlight audience.
Absolutely, would love to. My favorite business book for a long time, and I've even my 16-year-old daughter read it and she loved it. It's the book called Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. Unreasonable Hospitality. It's basically a extremely easy to read, well-written story of what became the best restaurant in the world. It's a restaurant in New York City, 11 Madison Avenue or something like that. I think that's how it's called too. And his process is multi-year process, from taking that place from a regular 3-star out of 5 stars in New York, middle of the road, good restaurant, to literally become the voted for best restaurant in the entire world. And I think there's so many, it's very short chapters, and there's so many amazing aha moments that any business owner can use in any different aspect of their business. Because again, as I always like to say, business is business is business. It doesn't matter if you're running a restaurant or a coaching company or a land flipping business. You have customers, you have vendors, you do things for customer satisfaction. You have services. You have fulfillment. You have interior team problems. You need to motivate. It's one of the most fantastic books I've read in a long time.
Definitely. Yeah. So I'll have to take a look at that. And a lot of people, they don't put business and real estate together, but it's actually a business. You're operating a business. You are owning an asset, though, if you're holding on to the property. But real estate is absolutely another business. And you could take information from other business books and other information and apply it to what it is that you do, and you can make your business that much better. So, hey, Jack, great selection. I'll definitely have to look into that. And thanks for coming on to the show. You provided us with some significant value. You shared with us your beginnings of being an immigrant, coming into the country, working extremely hard, and then was able to escape the rat race. And now you've trained multiple or 1,000 individuals and turn them into millionaires. So hats off to you for that. If someone wanted to reach out to you and connect, is there a preferred method?
So obviously I have my podcast, The Jack Bosch Show. Also have my YouTube channel, Jack Bosch. I'm on Instagram, Jack Bosch. I'm on Facebook, Jack Bosch. But also there's a specific link that if you want to know more about land flipping, you simply go to fun. And fun is like having fun, F-U-N. Like, so landprofitfun.com. And when you go there, you can download a 30-day blueprint that is actually very detailed, that shows you the exact steps and how to implement them. And so I would recommend you go to Land Profit Fun, like having fun, F-U-N, and check it out and download that thing. And then I can't wait to see you with some land deals.
Great. Yeah. So it sounds like it's a great opportunity. And once again, thanks for coming on to the show, providing all that insight. We'll love to have you back anytime.
Thank you for having me.